Welcome to Strip Coverlet, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we are here for the third of a 12-part series as we tackle Stardust by Neil Gaiman. So we're going to get into what happened here, but we're going to start where I should have started last time, and where I did start on episode 1, and that is with the little inscription before the chapter itself, which tells us what we're doing here. So this comes to us in the book from page 56, in which we encounter several other persons, many of them still alive, with an interest in the fate of the fallen star. And I have to admit, there's a little bit of confusion for me in this chapter, but we're going to get into what happened, and what happened, at least, as far as I can tell. We're at the Stormhold, and it is in the mountaintops, don't you know? And it is the 81st, it is the place of the 81st Lord who is dying. So he has gathered to his side his children, at least his sons, some of them alive and some of them very dead. The dead ones, by the way, were killed by the living ones, but not enough of them. See, the 81st Lord, he is a little upset that he's not down to one son yet. That would make things so much simpler. These kids today are all so soft. So he takes his amulet, a topaz, which is the power of the Stormhold, and the topaz which will be wielded by the 82nd Lord, as it has been passed down through all of the lords, and he tosses it out the window and tells his sons, the living ones anyway, whosoever retrieves it will be the 82nd Lord. At that time, the 81st Lord, who had just cast the amulet out of the window, saying bye-bye to the topaz, died. We cut to a small house in the middle of the woods of Fairy, and it is inhabited by 3 sisters who live in the presence of 3 other women. All 6 of the women are the Lilim, Lilim, which is to say the witch queens. But the younger 3 are the shadow selves of the older 3. The replacements, more or less. Maybe. We have this from page 64 to 65. This is the part of the story where I sort of start to maybe misunderstand what is happening. And it makes me feel like a twit, because this all reads as if it were written for children. So here I am, a 34-year-old man, completely befuddled. But we get this. The 3 women in the mirror were also the Lilim. But whether they were the successors to the old women, or their shadow selves, or whether the peasant cottage in the woods was real, or if, somewhere, the Lilim lived in a black hall with a fountain in the shape of a mermaid playing in the courtyard of stars, none knew for certain, and none but the Lilim could say. I think you can understand and sympathize with the confusion, and I think I can empathize with your confusion if you are in this same place. One of the old Lilim is butchering their dinner and finds something special, or spots the star in the sky. It is a little shaky there as well, but they decide to draw sticks involving the innards of stoat. They are going to draw sticks with the innards of the stoat, which one of the sisters was butchering. And the oldest sister finds the heart. So she'll fetch the fallen star. So this is another thing that is pretty confusing to me, which is damnable because everything had been so clear to this point, Neil Gaiman. She draws some fresh life from one of the mirror witches, who then disappears, and the witch who will fetch the star and drew the heart is now a much younger woman, and naked, apparently, because Neil Gaiman is real fond of mentioning breastises. So, she's getting ready to leave. Then, we get what I'm assuming was the fallen star / the cast out topaz / whatever the hell it was skyrocketing through the air. And it's not a star at all, but something with a female voice that is very, very fond of saying ow and fuck. So I'm not sure exactly what is happening towards the end of this chapter, but I do want to take a moment to point out some nice writing that we get here. This is as the 81st Lord is sort of castigating his sons, to which the surviving sons would be to which of the surviving sons would the 81st Lord give the stone? The living sons said nothing, but looked respectively expectant, wary, and blank. But it was a deceptive blankness, and the blankness of a rock face that one only realizes cannot be climbed when it is halfway up, and there is no longer any way to climb down. I think that's a pretty good image, especially considering that these are a group of people that live at the top of a mountain. So when you're using that image, what you're doing is you're really putting it inside the world of the Stormhold and making it an image with which or to which those individuals could sympathize / fear. But wow, what a change of direction. We had a quaint story in chapter 1, followed by a quaint story of that guy's son falling in love in chapter 2. And now, here we are with 3 sorcerers trying to inherit a kingdom and 3 witches trying to maintain their youth, and a falling star / falling topaz / falling little feminine thing that curses. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but boy, it sure has been a change of gears. But what is shaping up is the fact that young Tristan is pursuing the fallen star for love. All 3 of the sons, the prospective 82nd Lords of Stormhold, are pursuing the fallen star for power. The 3 witches, through the one premier witch, is chasing the fallen star for youth / life. And I think we're going to get into a little bit of how all 3 of those things, all 3 of those journeys are implicated through the topaz itself. But we're going to do that in a minute because I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I have here a blue topaz. Yeah, you can see that kind of, huh? Now it shines the light back. This is a blue topaz necklace. You see? Can you see it? How well can you see that? Not sure. Let's see if we can angle it there, spin it a little maybe. That's not doing anything at all. This is becoming a large waste of time. See that? I'm Iron Man. Anyway, I know what you might be thinking. Adrian, why do you have a blue topaz necklace? I found this outside on a woman with an extremely punchable face. She's lucky she had the necklace. But that's topaz. What is topaz? Topaz, number 1, is the birthstone for December. December is in winter. Winter equals death. This is the birthstone for death, for the depth of death, for the end of the end of the end. This represents, perhaps, the three young men who are chasing the topaz for Stormhold. They are there because of death, and not only that, but the 81st Lord of Stormhold seemed pretty convinced that everything was in the pot, because he had all of these sons who couldn't even kill each other. Second, topaz is a symbol of love and affection, and in superstition, it is supposed to enhance one's sweeter characteristics. This represents Tristan, who is not the smoothest with the ladies, but that's definitely why he's pursuing this, isn't it? He's pursuing this because he has found a woman on whom he is pretty sweet, and he made the daring proclamation, hey, baby, if you say yes to me, I'll go catch that fallen star. I'll bring it back to you. This seems like a symbol herein of love and affection, and it will, in practice, enhance his sweetness. As far as the magical properties of stones and the healing properties of stones are concerned, topaz is known for its regenerative and motivational properties. That sounds like something the witches would be after there, doesn't it? So it's a pretty good draw by Gaiman that he was able to pick one stone and make it a symbol, a classic symbol at that, for all three of these pursuant parties. And there's one other classic symbol I think is worth talking about, and that is the number 82. Remember, these young men from the Stormhold are pursuant of this fallen star in order that they might become the 82nd Lord of Stormhold. In classic symbolism, 82 is, if you draw 82, it is to restore. I don't know all of these words. I don't know how this all works out, but it is symbolic of the fact that you should wear more self-confidence, and you should exercise personal power and authority. So being that they are pursuant of this to be this stone, this fallen star, in order to become the 82nd Lord of Stormhold, is to say that this is a classic play on authority and power. How will they deal with that? This is also... anyway, I'll come back to that later. Let me write this down. We're going to go to the Bible momentarily, and we're going to turn to the 82nd Psalm. What does the 82nd Psalm say? It is a psalm of Asaph, A-S-A-P-H. God presides over heaven's court. He pronounces judgment on the heavenly beings. How long will you hand down unjust decisions by favoring the wicked? Give justice to the poor and the orphan. Uphold the rights of the oppressed and the destitute. Rescue the poor and helpless. Deliver them from the grasp of evil people. But these oppressors know nothing. They are so ignorant. They wander around in the darkness, while the whole world is shaken to the core. I say you are gods. You are all children of the Most High. But you will die like mere mortals and fall like every other ruler. Rise up, O God, and judge the earth, for all the nations belong to you. So, we have here, there is a sneaking suspicion in the back of my mind that this thing which falls in the middle of the woods, which is, I'm guessing, the topaz and the fallen star and something with a feminine voice, a still small voice. The same as the young girl from Fairy with whom Tristran's father had conceived him. So if he is literally in search of his mother that he might find love for a woman, there's some Freudian stuff there that we're going to have to get into later. But also, she was enslaved by something mysterious. I'm assuming that something mysterious were these ageless witches. So we're dealing with that along the line as well. But with this 82nd Psalm, give justice to the poor and the orphan, uphold the rights of the oppressed and destitute. That would represent that young woman, would it not, that slept with Tristran's father. We have a question of authority at the very beginning. And this question of authority goes back to the Lords of Stormhold. And then we have a reference to, where is it here? They wander about, but these oppressors know nothing. They are so ignorant. They wander about in the darkness while the whole world is shaken to its core. We have this symbol of the wicked. The wicked seem to be perhaps those witches. So there's a lot going on in this one small chapter, which takes us so very, 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 very far from where we began this book. But it's interesting also to look at this. Pursuing for love, we have a single individual. Pursuing for life and youth, we have a single individual, but that single individual comes from a pack of 3/5/6. It's hard to say. Neil Gaiman never really gives us a chance in that argument. And then we have 3 individuals that seem to be in pursuit from the Stormhold. Those 3, altogether, are in pursuit for power. Is it ironic that it is the group in search of power that seem to be the weakest and in need of larger numbers? What is that to communicate with us? What does it say that the individual who is pursuant of this fallen star in the name of love is willing to go the farthest? I can never remember which one is correct in this situation. Damn it. And what does it say that those individuals who are immediately traipsing around in the darkness are the ones who are in search of youth? I don't know. I don't know that there is any answer yet, and I think that we will probably be getting there next week in Chapter 4. So that is all I have for this episode, the third in a 12-part series as we traipse around the woods in search of a fallen star in Neil Gaiman's Stardust. I hope to see you back here next time, and if you made it this far in the video, it really helps me out here on the channel if you hit that like button. If you have somehow stumbled across this video and you are not yet subscribed to the channel, consider doing that, because this is what we do here. We go through books, we go through short stories, we go through poems, and every week I have a weekly reader in which I just sort of ramble on about all of it, and once in a while I'll even talk about some writing here on the channel. So yeah, I'd enjoy having you back here next time for episode 4 of 12.